You want to know how to be on your adventure in life and how to be within your battle as a man and not relying on her, not relying on your spouse to be your therapist, to be your mommy.
I'm gonna tell you about a woman whose heart is sunshine, whose body burned hot. I'm gonna tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves.
Welcome to the C Note Show, brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains. Today is Friday, 11:03 here on July 10th. It's the last day of this week. We're on the road still. Right now, we're just south of Livingston, Montana, in this beautiful Airbnb cabin that we're in. I'll share the view outside of our window here in a second. But otherwise, this place has been absolute paradise. We can see the Milky Way every night, absolutely every star in the sky. It's been incredible. And the metaphor of the present moment has me thinking about what's beyond our view, what's beyond our radar. You know, when we're at home in the city with all the light pollution, we can't see the grandiosity of the incredible sky and universe and how humble it makes me feel. And that makes me think about our forum, our private Facebook forum, and how humbled I feel with the amazing men, you guys here right now, and the other amazing men on our Facebook forum, of coming in and supporting an incredible question yesterday from another gentleman on the forum that we're going to share here in a moment. And you are here, guys, and in our forum, in Great Men Move Mountains forum, because you want to know how to be phenomenal in modern relationship. You want to know the 3 forms of confidence. You want to know how to be on your adventure in life and how to be within your battle as a man and not relying on her, not relying on your spouse to be your therapist, to be your mommy. You don't want to accidentally do those nice guy mistakes that I made in the past, that many of you guys made in the past. And you're here because you want to be the hero of your own life and you want to be the man of her dreams. That's why you're here. And the only woman allowed in the show is Miss Cynthia Cruz, my partner in crime, my co-coach. Welcome to the show, Cynthia. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. And good morning and happy Friday to you. I hope this is the ending of a week for you and kind of a adventure come to a conclusion for you where you're looking forward to some rest in the next couple of days. Thank you for allowing me in this space with you. Every day is kind of a place for my energy to come and rest and learn and be in the presence of your power and your grace. And it is truly fulfilling, and I truly appreciate it.
I love that, Cynthia, power and grace. And the men in the forum, the power and grace that we have, and we're so lucky to serve you. We're so honored to serve you. That's why we're here. And I started this, and Cynthia and I started this 12 weeks ago because I wish I would have had a show like this, a daily show like this back in 2015 when I hit my shit in a relationship. And we've shared that story on the forum, and we've shared that story on our show as well over the past 12 weeks. And we love being here for you guys, and the grace and the power in the forum to come in and swoop in and be here for this man who I think almost made kind of a giant mistake within his relationship. And we'll share that. We'll share some of that post here in a few moments. We also had another man say that his wife just put her ring back on after 4 months. A man in the chat said that, and we haven't even had a chance to talk with him about that. Like, phenomenal stuff. Of course, you guys, we're here because we're not looking for a particular outcome. We're here because we want to be fucking phenomenal as men in the world, and we can't keep brownie points. We can't try to accumulate brownie points with her. And Cynthia and I talk about that, and we talk with you guys about that on the show so much because we can't be attached to an outcome. Otherwise, we're not doing this for our own selves, and she won't feel fueled by that. She won't want to be on that adventure with us if the adventure is her. If the adventure is trying to win her, the adventure is trying to win brownie points with her, that's not going to be what she wants. Tell us about that a little bit. When a man goes for, if the only wins he wants in life are to try to get her to like him, what does that feel like to a woman?
Well, I think that's like a confusing thing because there's a lot in our culture that would say, and a lot in movies and Disney movies that would say women want to be your adventure. I've experienced in relationships in the past, it wasn't so much that it was hard to have a man just looking at me as if I was the adventure. It was just that I knew he had so much purpose in the world. I felt the power and the grace in him and the mission he had, this heart to give and to be an arrowhead and a spear out into the world. And I was excited to be on that adventure and journey with him. And when he just looked at me as if it was just, I'm the adventure. I felt like he wasn't giving himself enough credit. And I felt like I then had to be the one who kind of was making the way in the world and moving the energy forward. Otherwise it felt kind of stuck and claustrophobic. We're of course next to a really incredible river here.
Yeah, might as well share.
And I went down to the river this morning, and there's like a little pool of right near the bank, and it's kind of like stuck water where there's lots of kind of bugs and flies around it. And that's what it feels like. We all want to be on the river that's moving forward and not kind of stuck on the side.
Yeah. Well, what does that mean to a woman to be in relationship and not be stuck in the pool on the side, but to be in the flow of the river with the man strength in his banks and the groundedness in his own adventure? What does that mean to a woman overall? Is there a mission within her life that's drawing her toward? And what if the man's like, no, come over and play in the kiddie pool. That's all where I want to be. Right? That's all that I really want to do is play in the kiddie pool on the side. Or he says that in passing, or he does that through his actions.
Yeah.
What is that like to a woman overall?
Well, when he's in the river, it's like I feel trust. Like I know that even in the moment, if things aren't perfect and there's edges and disagreements, that he's moving forward and learning and making a way in the world. And it's like, oh, this will get better. It's that part of the women's pie of hope and growth, that things are moving, that there's something to look forward and move toward. And it's not just, this is all that there is. And I've actually had a man say to me many years ago, he's like, you are way too deep. I just want to play in the kiddie pool. And that was, I think no matter what, women want deep waters, and they incredibly appreciate your desire to be riverbanks and to your courage to be in those deep waters with them.
Well, that courage in life, Brene Brown talks about vulnerability has to have boundaries and integrity with courage. So I'm listening to Dare to Lead audiobook by Brene Brown, and she's phenomenal. If you haven't read that one or listened to that one, it's great. It's more about leadership within your own life and leadership within business and leadership in relationship as well. And she says the prerequisite for life and deep, compassionate, heartfelt life in business or in personal life is vulnerability. And that takes courage and boundary and integrity, right? So the courage of being in the river is huge. It's huge. So we're going to share the post from this man. He had courage. He brought up, took a courageous moment for him to bring this to the men and ask the men, us and you guys here now and in the forum, before he moved forward with this idea. And I'm super glad that he did. The responses were phenomenal. We're going to read one of those, and we're going to read his post here in a second. I've got a couple of phenomenal poems. I've got a Ram Dass spot, a 2-minute Ram Dass spot today, and some John Wineland. Got a great show for you planned. And we dive into this shit and we springboard up with a perspective and a plan. So we dive into it and we bounce out of it here on this show. So here we do our daily work on the C Note Show as men. That's why you're here. And our theme of this week is healing spiritual wounds. It's a deep level 3 bottom drawer conversation that we love having with you guys. If you haven't done your kingly plan today, you're going to do that right after the show, right? And we always talk about the 3 forms of confidence. So we've got our question that we've had up here the whole week. At what point does one decide to declare an official time of death to a relationship? We've been talking about that all week on this show. If you haven't seen our previous shows, phenomenal. Go back and watch those. And here's our new post for today. Probably a bad idea, but someone between my wife and I had to get the ball rolling. Here's what this means. I stopped fucking up months ago. So he's going to refer to the 3 phases of coaching, as I say: stop, grow, and ask. And stop is stop fucking up. Grow is grow your own roots and self as a man and your confidence and work. That's what the work here we do as well. How to stop fucking up, how to grow yourself as a man, grow your mojo. And then third phase is how to ask for what you want in a relationship. And that's what this man's going to refer to, these stages. I stopped fucking up months ago. The marriage counselor isn't finding anything wrong in my behavior. And I know in my heart that I act out of love and respect for her. So I'm going to chop this up a little bit because there are a couple of red flags in this post that I want to point out. When a man starts to say, oh, I've got that phase nailed down 100%, totally down, and I'm good there, that's a red flag for me. This is always a journey. I'll share that I fucked up yesterday. We were listening to Allison Armstrong, Honoring Partnership. I'm getting it wrong. Celebrating Partnership. And there's a phase about sex and asking each other what your turn-ons are, asking about, what's going to get you turned on right away. And some of the questions in there, there's 3 or 4 or 5 questions, a series of questions that you ask back and forth. And I didn't ask the last one back to Cynthia yesterday. I was getting super turned on. We're talking about lots of fun stuff. It was deep. It was playful. We're both having a great time. And the 5th question, she asked me, and I didn't even realize it in the moment. I didn't ask her that 5th question back. And then we went out to sit by the river, and she started to close in, and she seemed really upset about something. And I'll tell the story another time of how I helped open her up, right? How I helped you blossom in that moment, which I'm a little embarrassed to even share this. So I'm going to skip ahead. But what she said was, what would be great is if I shared that 5th question. And I thought in my head, oh, fuck, I didn't ask the 5th question back. So I used one of our skills that Allison Armstrong teaches as well, which is, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry that I did that.
Yeah.
And just owned that. Okay. So I fucked up yesterday. So as soon as a man, and that not that I'm supposed to be perfect or whatever other bullshit, but the point is, guys, we never have everything 100% nailed down. So it's a really big red flag if you say, I got that, check, I can move on. You're headed for misunderstanding of what this work is. Okay. So we can be really great at juggling balls in the air. We can be really great at this work, but you will drop one once in a while. And guess what? That's normal. That's human. And if you act like you're perfect, how's the woman going to feel? If I think, okay, I got this nailed down, like I'm perfect in this area, and I come to you and something happens or I make a mistake.
Oh.
How does that come across to a woman if I think that I got it all nailed down?
Well, it's kind of like personally as a woman, I end up feeling kind of alone because if this other person's perfectly got it figured out, there's there's not a whole lot of room to have an emotional response to something or to be able to share my own imperfections and just to be in humanness. And it also is kind of the opposite of that, hope and desire to grow, because if each person's pretending they're perfect,
There's
river,
a lot of pretending going on.
Yeah, there's a dam in the river, and there's not a whole lot to move forward on.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yeah.
So we don't have to be perfect. Okay, that's good. Yeah, thank goodness. Let's moving on. We don't have to be perfect, so that's good. And Cynthia, in a moment, I'd love for you to honor the chat. I don't want to keep reading this, gentleman's. So then go ahead.
I love that Jack put in the in the chat. It's always the damn 5th question. I know.
Damn you! Question number 5. Yeah. Okay. I'm excited right now. I'm not even thinking with my other head. All right, I'll move on. I had to make some kind of cock reference here. So the marriage counselor isn't finding anything wrong in my behavior. Another thing here that Steve Forsman talks about is, and Cynthia, when she's looking over here, she's looking at the chat. So Steve Forsman loves to say, and he's got an article about this, that if you're in marriage counseling, deferring to the leadership of the counselor, okay, you're already starting off on the wrong foot. Right? The counselor is there to be an advisor for you and with you. It's not the counselor to give you a check, clean bill of health by the way, if the counselor's saying like, I'm not finding anything wrong with you, we're kind of in the same boat here. I don't want you to tell me everything's perfect. I want you to flow with me and dance with me and help me understand relationship ongoing. So that's just my opinion. I mean, I've been in this field for a long time, and I hope you have a good counselor. So keep going on. Having conquered phase 1, we talked about this. There is no conquered, right? Within my human flaws. Okay, there we go. So he's acknowledging human flaws. I've been on work of phase 2 of growth, like I referred to, for a good stretch of time. And she's come around a bit in that we've been spending time together, and it's been going well. We get along, but still no flesh to flesh of any kind. I mean, so many men in our one-on-one work, Cynthia, where there's zero physical contact, right? So that's a normal place for men to be in when they come to this work. I don't want anyone to think that they're kind of behind, or it's no man left behind here, right? When I came to this work, there wasn't shit happen. It was the D-bomb had exploded, the bridge was on fire, and like I was the bad guy, I was the villain when I came to this work in 2015. I told my story. I can tell more parts of my story at a time. But yeah, don't think that anyone's behind here. Okay, we all start at different places, and you're here. You're in the right place. You're in the right place to be that Spartan next to the other man. And like I say, if your face is in the mud right now, another man is there to reach down and help you out of the mud. So he says, here is a first attempt at getting the ask phase 3 going. It's a less than half joking attempt, so it's just a little bit of a joke. And what he posted here was a contract. So Cynthia, I'd love for you to explain the physicality contract. And I didn't go down and read the fine details because I don't think the woman's going to read the fine details of this supposed contract. And he presented this as like a half joke. And he also wanted the men to give him some feedback as whether this is a good idea to bring to her or not. Mm-hmm. So when you just saw, I'm going to read more of the post here, right? But when you just saw the contract as a woman, like, what did you think? Knowing his wife wants zero physical contact right now, there's been a ton of animosity and, like tenacious arguments in the past, right? So what did you think immediately when you saw that contract?
Well, physically, it's like all the breath left my body, and it felt very there was no like freedom there. If like I was a woman and to receive that, there was no space to be really aligned with who I was, of my emotion in the moment and response in the moment, and to ask in the moment and to feel connected. It was kind of like this pre-decided how like just even like physical touch, like hand holding would result. And
it would be dictated by this contract in some capacity.
Yeah, and I totally understand it as like creating a container, and yet that container made me want to run in the other direction. So
okay, fair enough. Let's keep going. So this man says, I'm going to fill out the request for service line with just holding her hands when watching TV or when walking with the kids. I'm going to suggest that the penalty line say something to the effect of probation for contact for a month if I go for more than her hand or have big expectations from there. Okay, so what he's saying is he wants to give her safety. Like he's wanting to give her safety around that he's not going to go for anything more. Right? So help us as men understand, right? The guys on here and many men, like we'll have integrity where if we sign a contract, we're going to abide by that contract, right? I'm sure everyone on here has like 800 credit score, right, guys? Like you always do what you promise you're going to do. That's a different subject. But if I sign this contract, does that help a woman feel safe that I'm going to honor her space? I mean, I don't know what you're going to say here. If I sign, hey, I'm just going to hold your hand during television. By the way, you said you don't want any contact. And I'm going to hold your hand during television and on walks. And if I go for anything more than that, here's the penalty, and I'm on probation. How does all of that feel to you as a woman when I say those things?
To me, what feels like trust and safety is feeling that contract within a man's body. Like, let's say that biologically women have evolved to be very tuned into your body chemistry. It was important for them to be paying attention to, are you in warrior mode? Are you in angry mode? Are you in attack mode? Are you in partnership mode? And so for her to be able to feel the internal contract, the internal grounding, the belief in self, and the lack of self-judgment that you have for yourself, to me, that's what builds the biggest feeling of safety and security.
So yes.
I would say, like, when a man is judging himself, I do feel that, and it comes across as like a energy that I'm uncertain of, or I'm uncertain where his judgment is going. Like, is it of me? Is it of the situation? And again, we're all human.
Yeah. So I'm hearing that he has to, within his own self, maybe have this, if he wants a contract for his own self, if he wants guidelines or container for his own self, great. But maybe that's for him. Right, and not for her, not for the relationship. And that's what a lot of men in the forum said. Do it for yourself and then burn it. Do this for yourself. Define this for yourself. Define your values right now, your boundaries right now as a man, honoring what she's asked and honoring where the relationship is right now, and then burn it. Because the contract's not for her, it's for you. It's for you as a man, right? Yeah. Okay. So he continues, she has stated outright that she doesn't want me to make any moves on her, but that's not what this is. It doesn't require her to hold my hands. It just makes a commitment that she doesn't have to worry about me reading too much into it. Okay. Alison Armstrong talks about that too, that a man needs to make it clear that doing something physical like spooning is not automatically an invitation for sex. Yeah. So that's what this man is saying as well. That's a different topic, guys, which we can certainly get into another day, which is, how do I help her feel safe that me wanting to hold hands or kiss or spoon or these other things that are lower on the staircase of intimacy does not mean I'm trying to get sex. Okay, the boundary there has been gray at best in the past, where there's shame around sexual acts for different reasons in the past. And so this man wants her to feel safe. So I honor that. That's what he's going for here. I plan on trying to get her to sign it tonight. So if I'm really doing something stupid here, please let me know. I realize it's pathetic to have to do an expectation contract for holding hands with your relationship of 19 years, married 12, but I'm talking tactically. Is it inappropriate? Okay, yes, it's inappropriate. We've talked about this many times already on the show. And men in our forum, guys, you swooped in to give your thoughts and advice and third-party perspective for this man and said, don't give her the contract. Okay, there was at least a half dozen men that swooped in. I love you guys. The responses are so amazing. I was like putting hearts next to everybody's responses. Like, this is why we're here, guys. This is why we're here. So we can help each other before we fall off the cliff. It's like, hey, I plan on doing some skydiving without a parachute today. Let me know if that's a good idea. No, that's not a good idea. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. So gentlemen, I'd love for you to always feel open to raise your hand and give us a story of something that you can relate to with this, or post in the chat. Really quickly, I'm going to share a man's response that we love today. One of the awesome responses that Cynthia and I pulled out. The response says, I would have to agree with everyone else's comments here. When our wives are in this state, they will not see that contract as a joke, or I'll add as something to help her with safety. Because that's really what it seems like this poster's wanting, is to help her feel safe. This is just not the way to go about it. But this will be seen by her as a passive-aggressive ploy. All the positive work you've been doing will just put you back at ground zero again. So he feels this would, set him back, which I agree. Any positive momentum you've made will be gone completely. I'd say invite your buddies out for a hike or make a bonfire and throw the contract in the bonfire. Bring it to the men, not to her. I agree. And she probably thinks this response from this man, I didn't see this within the other posts. And I fucking threw my hands up and yelled, hallelujah, this is amazing. I love this perspective. And so this paragraph here is phenomenal, guys. Pay attention. And she probably thinks she has had extreme patience for the last however many years she feels like you weren't there for her. I'm sure if you tell her your patience is running thin on intimacy, she will probably tell you she's been patient for many years and hasn't felt the closeness and intimacy that she needed from you for years now. That's what happened with my wife. We've talked about that in the show, that there's the 2-year time bomb. Usually she's been grieving the relationship or the loss of what she idealized for the relationship for a good 2 years before we know as men, before she says the D word, or before we feel like our whole fucking life is ripped out of the book, the book that we hope to be writing of our life. And so this was really, really insightful, that if we as men start to feel impatient, she has probably felt like she's been patient or she's had boundaries crossed for a long time. So can you tell us that from your point of view? Have you had situations where you've, as a woman, right, that you've been patient, that you've been focused on experience, and you've been hoping that he leads in the way to honor the relationship and honor his own self in the world, but that's not been happening? Talk with us about when the man seemingly gets impatient and you've been patient for a long time. What is that like for you? What's that experience like for you?
Sure. I think each of us, we see the world through our own eyes, and there's a feminine perspective and how she does things and how she might want things done in her world. And then there's a masculine perspective. So I fully believe that each of us there are things that we're feeling patient in because we're like, man, that is just not how I would do things. That's not how intimacy works for me in this moment. Or that's just not my frame in the world. And so, you're learning another person's frame. You're learning another person's body chemistry. And I think that's the great learning between men and women of our humanness that's similar and it's different, and our spiritualness that's similar and different. And that's why that piece of the woman's pie of hope and growth and the river moving forward is that there will be opportunities to talk about those differences and bring to the table those things that we've been having patience for, and knowing that you can be patient with the other person in life, patient with the woman in your life, because this is not the be all, the end all. This is not the final reality, that there's more to come. There's transformation to come. There's growth to come. And I think that's kind of, this week is about healing our spiritual wounds. It's about kind of holding space for the things that are not exactly how we want them, and doing our own growth and having intention in that space, and also a belief that the river is still moving and that there's different possibilities around each bend.
Different possibilities. So last night, so question number 5, as I talked about earlier on the show, it was, so in that moment as a man, and we're out sitting by the river and you're closing down, and I don't know why. And in that moment, I had to make a decision of how I wanted to move forward. Either I was going to basically ignore it and just look off into the mountains and sit there and ignore what was happening. Mm-hmm. I could have said, hey, it seems like you need alone time and space, which maybe is what a man would need. Mm-hmm. And I had to decide, am I going to pick up my chair and go on inside and let you be out here on your own? Mm-hmm. Because that's what a man would probably want, mm-hmm. if he wants, space. And then I thought, I don't think either one of those feel too great. Those aren't really skillful ways of handling this. So I asked for you to open up and share your experience. And again, I'll talk about how I did that another time. And it took 3 or 4 layers of me understanding and not taking it personal. Mm-hmm. And I had to have a lot of patience with that. And I'm sharing this with Cynthia right now. I haven't talked to this about it. So I had to have a lot of patience with that. If I was just thinking, well, why didn't she tell me I didn't ask question number 5 back? Or this isn't okay that she's closing down and feeling like entitled to perfection somehow in the relationship, or thinking, right? Or if I had impatience because, well, her feelings are hurt And if I had impatience with that, none of those things. So these are things I have had to learn, guys. So these are things I went through in my mind and felt into. What would happen if I handled it like this? Well, what's the skillful way that I can handle this? Not that I expect some particular outcome, but just to know of how can I fertilize the flower in this moment to allow it to bloom. Mm-hmm. If I don't give the flower fertile soil, water, and sunlight, and the great environment here, it doesn't have the opportunity to bloom. And in full disclosure, I needed to sleep fully on it to let all of that really go, guys. And that's fine. And so I'm sharing that vulnerably with you, that it's not about how many years you've been doing this work. It's not about checking the box that you're done with a certain phase. It's about being in touch with your own self, being tethered to your masculine presence, like we talked about, what John Wineland talks about. We talked about that a ton last week on the show, being tethered to your masculine essence and presence and being aware of your emotional train. So if there's impatience there, I feel it and I'm aware of it. Don't take it out on Cynthia. So cool stuff. And should I share how you woke me up this morning?
Oh gosh.
She gave me 3 options this morning. I chose coffee. But they were really good. They were really good options. That's for the pay-per-view version of the show, as Patrick would say. I love you guys so much. Iain's got his hand up. I saw it up a couple minutes ago. Thank you so much. Iain, yeah, buddy, go ahead, man. Unmute yourself. Jump on in. Save me from question number 5 hell, please. Go for it, yeah.
Good to see you guys on holiday. Enjoying yourselves.
You certainly. Too. Thank you.
Well deserved. Just reading and listening to you talking about the post, one of the things that my wife said to me when I went through a similar situation was that any attempt of touch or trying to get close to her felt to her as an invasion. So even the smallest things would feel threatening, I think, to her. And I think that's something you've got to understand. Obviously, I'd like Cynthia's input on that. And at that time, she was asking for space. And I think a lot of you talked about this a lot of the times. Women wanting space and wanting to build up their own wall or to get their own shields up. So you trying to get in there and touch is just invading that space. And I guess thirdly, it's just listening to the contract. It's another thing that when they're looking for space or a certain amount of freedom, putting a contract, not even a covert contract, in front of them, as a written contract, yeah, it just screams that it's a form of written control when they need to be. You need that step back. It's that step back that's a key. It was a key word or phrase to me that really helped. And it's them looking to them to come to you rather than you going to them, I think, as well. It's giving them that space, respect that, and getting into your own growth and your own masculine presence. And it's emanating that presence so that you're looking for that respecting yourself and getting that attraction back to yourself, I think, is fundamental. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. I mean, that was no real question. That was Cynthia's point of view in terms of the invasion side of things, but that was certainly one of the things that I experienced.
Yeah, phenomenally. And one thing I love that you said right there is in the growth phase, and phase number 2 is you're wanting to create a healthy vacuum for the potential for her to step forward into. So one key, thank you, that helps me remember, you are not, gentlemen, everyone, you are not ready for the ask phase if you have impatience. Okay? If you have the feeling of impatience, or basically if you're coming forward with any kind of negative or grasping or needy or pulling or pushing, anything that's aggressive in any kind of way, or cajoling or manipulation, anything like that, you're not ready for the ask phase. Okay, you must be completely detached from outcome before you ask for what you want. And how to ask for what you want is another show. I saw on the chat, it was how to ask in a better way. That's a great question. That's another topic. We should bring that up next week, is more of, okay, let's assume that we're ready for the ask phase. Mm-hmm. Okay, that can be our topic next week, guys. So Cynthia, please give some feedback to Iain on what he says about the step back and how we as men want to frame, this is a little bit of what you said earlier, we want to offer container. So how can we offer container in a safe way and not lose ourself? So if I'm a man, what will you still honor? If I take a step back, okay, if I give up, by the way, if I turn around and run away, that's not a step back. Like if I turn around and walk away, that's not a step back, okay? A step back is still owning who I am. Mm-hmm. So what does that feel like to you as a woman if a man's like, okay, I completely respect, I don't necessarily like it, that we're no longer having any physical contact, of course, but I honor it and I respect you and I take a step back and I'm going to go kick ass in the world in my hobbies, with my buddies, like you guys have said, with my workouts, with my career, I'm going to build my adventure. What does that feel like to you when it's like, okay, I don't like it, but I honor it?
Yeah, I would even say we were talking about, patience today, and even your energy of patience with me last night in my kind of emotional, oceanic experience, I really, really appreciated. It was kind of like you as a man, I was like, I don't like this, like, you need to communicate with me more. And I'm kind of holding the space here. I really, really appreciated that a lot. So I think that kind of step back with patience and also like, I'm going to go kick ass in the world is a huge, huge gift you can give a woman. And there's also like when you are filling yourself up and I'll say this even as a woman, like even in past relationships when, I was needing some of their energy to kind of like fill up spaces in me or to feel alive or to feel energized. That can be like, that can be really off-putting to the other person. Whereas if we are like filling in our own selves, and it's not perfect because I don't fully believe we can be 100%. I'm like perfectly, content all by myself all the time. But when we're really sourcing love and energy in our own being, whether it's through our purpose in the world or our mission or the sports we play or the hike we take or the bike ride that we go on, that's a compelling force to other people. So in that step back, you're providing the relief of like, someone's having patience with me in my storm. Plus modeling like, what true connection is. Because when that true connection comes with touch, when both people are kind of filling up their own selves and then can connect in that way, that's exponential. That's healing. That's amazing. And to me, where intimacy goes to, it's a never-ending, evolving process. And I know that's kind of far down the river, but...
Well, so let me jump in right there, because we talked about the staircase of intimacy. And if you haven't heard, we have a free audio book on that on our website, and I'll say the link at the end. Even if we're on step one, there's still energy exchange there, right? So if this gentleman, this poster is doing zero contact, no hand holding, nothing, that doesn't mean I'm a dick when I walk into the kitchen and I see her. I don't ignore her either. Right? I can see her and I can smile a little bit and I can hold positive intention in my mind. Yesterday, you said honoring someone by wanting them to have love and positivity and intention in the world, even if I'm not the one necessarily giving it to them. Right? So when I walk into the kitchen, maybe I do offer it in those 3 seconds. And that's appropriate for our relationship right now. That's appropriate with the staircase of intimacy right now. That's an exchange. She can choose to accept it or not. Right? And by the way, guys, if you offer 3 seconds of positivity and she doesn't accept it and you get butthurt about it, that's something for you to go meditate on and journal about, okay? Because you have attachment. If it's like, oh, I would have liked for her to accept it, but I'm going to move on with my day. And, unfortunately that wasn't accepted. That's what you're really hoping for. Of course you want her to love it and accept it. But if you're butthurt about it, you still got shit to work out, right? That's a huge indicator. Got a couple other quotes. The gods wait to delight in you. You are marvelous. Know that you are. And I love the lines where it said, the gods will offer you chances. know them, take them. So powerful, so powerful. And honestly, that's what I feel that this tribe is about. It's about helping us men, including myself, know what those chances are, if you will. Know those chances for our own selves. Know those chances within relationship. Know those chances within our family, within our life, within our career. And that's so the bottom drawer of what we're doing here as men. It's not just how to be successful with women, which is, of course, a huge piece of this show and our channel and our forum, right? But it's how to see those offerings from the gods, if you will, and to take the road less traveled. So Cynthia, what does that feel like when you think into the tribe of men that are here? You know, I want to honor our men that are here right now. There was a man, Andy Malloy, one of my leaders, had to jump off today. He and Jason Bradbury are some of my coaches, and of course Cynthia and I are the head coaches within Great Men Move Mountains. Oh, Dennis Collins is on here today. Shit. So Dennis is another coach. He's my colleague. And I'm going to bounce over to Dennis for a second. I didn't see you on there, buddy. I want to honor everybody else. Andy and Dave, Harry, Ian, Jason, John, Kent, Chris, Patrick, Randy, Ruben, Rob, Tim, Walters. You guys are phenomenal. Hey, Dennis Collins, when you just saw that, notice the offerings of the gods. Notice the chances that the gods are offering you. Know them and take them. What does that mean to you, man? Come on.
Take them. Be bold. You know, don't let life pass you by. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. You know, there is so many. I'm watching an elk cross the road up ahead. Sorry. There is so many opportunities out there, but many people just live in fear about what if it doesn't work out, instead of taking the chance, taking the opportunity, and living life to the fullest. We're all going to be more than okay, and life is just a wonderful gift. So don't be afraid to take chances.
Oh, man. Hey, can I put you on the spot? What's a chance that you have taken recently, Dennis?
Let me think. Guess with my current girlfriend, asking somebody out on a date during COVID.
Nice. Hey, you called her your girlfriend too. That's the first time I've heard. Do you have a new girlfriend, Dennis?
And she's a counselor. So
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yes, it is. So I told her, I joked, I said, you're going to know how fucked up I am. And her response was, we're all fucked up. It's just do our fucked ups work well together. And it has been a fun ride. And I just sent her a note if she's free Labor Day weekend, because my festival I work is canceled and I'm going to take her away for a weekend. You've inspired me. I'm looking at some areas up that away. And I'm looking for nonstop flights into either Utah or Denver and then to bounce up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Phenomenal, man. Congrats on the asking her out. So did you have butterflies in your stomach, Dennis, when you asked her out?
I honestly didn't, because I gave no fucks. Because I'm like, the worst she could do is, we started chatting and I just said, you want to go get some ice cream? Because the worst she could have done is said no. Big deal. And I'm not tied to outcomes. I really don't care anymore. I'm going to, go on this hike, do this, do that. The worst somebody could do is say no. It doesn't change me or the life I'm living. They can choose to join me on the adventure.
Yeah, Dennis, love it so much. Thanks for coming on, dude. Dennis is a rock star. If you haven't watched his Coffee and Conversations, he has some women on there sometimes. He has other guests on there as well. So he's got an awesome channel. Give me your manoflegacy.org, right, Dennis?
Yes, Jeff. And if you go to the YouTube page, you'll see some podcasts with a face they'll recognize. Well, the last one we were on video, Staircase of Intimacy. Before that, we were just audio. So I'm evolving slowly.
Yeah. Nice, man. That's how we all evolve, buddy. Love it. Thanks, Dennis, for being on. So cool, man. Thanks for being on.
What I want to know is, because Dennis has this incredible repertoire and reputation, I want to know what going to get ice cream.
That's what I was thinking.
Really mean.
That's a euphemism for.
It really meant ice cream. It was it was the only way I could think to socially distance and still meet her in person, because that's the key, is do you click? And so I was like, do you want to get ice cream? And to her credit, when we were talking afterwards, a couple of days later, she said, I figured worst case, I get a free ice cream. And for me, I was thinking, worst case, I don't have to get ice cream alone. I don't look like I'm just going to get ice cream by myself. That was literally my thought process.
I love it, man. Win-win, not attached to the outcome. I love it, Dennis. So cool. Well, congrats, man. A way to go having balls and just living life, dude. Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Have a great weekend, man. Yeah, so cool. We have a couple minutes left. Let's see. If anyone has a question, if you'd love to open your mic up and jump in, if you feel like there's a monkey on your shoulder, a monkey on your back, if there's a knife in your side right now and you want us to just be here as a witness for you, to put it on the table, or if you have a question we can answer here in the last couple minutes, we'd love for you to jump in. So unmute yourself. Otherwise, I'll move forward with another quick video that I can always save for next week, man. So yeah, Jason, go for it.
Hey guys, so I posted earlier that she put a ring back on after 4 months, right? And so I was taking her to the airport, and I would have called myself still fairly outcome independent, but I've been working a lot on the stop stuff, because that's what I think was the biggest problem between us. And she put her hand up and she goes, "Look what I'm wearing today." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." I said, "That makes me really happy." And I was taking her to the airport to spend a week with her sister and her mother on the beach doing a girls' week, right? And so, at a time where she could have acted really single, she put her ring on and flew out to have some fun. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And so, now it's over the last couple of weeks, she's been sharing a lot, mostly in the form of late night texts when she can't sleep. And she was writing and she said, I found my voice about my feelings. And she's a few weeks into therapy appointments and really working on kind of the trauma that she's been through. And so I asked her, hey, that was exciting for you to text me about finding your voice and finding your feelings. You want to tell me more about that? She said, no, not right now. And so my question really is, I asked one more time. I said, I waited a couple of days and I said, I'm really interested in hearing your feelings about finding your voice. She goes, no, I don't want to talk about it yet. And so the question is, I didn't want to ask her, how you doing? How you feeling? What are you thinking? That's that's the wrong approach. But how do I continue to engage her in a way that she knows that I care about her sharing that element with me without being needy? I don't want to not ask her about it again, because I feel like then she's like, well, I shared with you, I found my voice, and you haven't asked about it in 3 weeks. So what's the middle ground for a woman who tells you something and then twice says, no, I'm not ready to talk about it yet?
Sure. I'd love for Cynthia to answer. Let me ask you a background question really quick. Has she punished you in the past in that exact way that you were just worried about? Has she said, hey, I let you know 3 weeks ago and you haven't asked me about it again? Has she punished you in that way before?
Yeah, she's, I would say I have a very fluid memory, and she has a very photographic memory.
I'm going to steal that. I have a very fluid memory. Meaning I don't fucking remember everything that's said, right, Jason?
Yeah. That's right.
That's such a nice way of putting it. Yeah, I think that's a lot of our experience. Okay. And so she says, you haven't asked me. So give me a specific. You haven't asked me again, and therefore I'm mad now?
Yeah, I can't remember what the topic was, but the situation was, you guys have talked about it, where it's like, if you say we got to talk about it later, we're going to park it, you got to come back to it. And so I'll get busy and I'll forget to come back to it. And so I think the history there is I'm thinking about those things that I've done wrong in the past, and I don't want to let that go again, because it was her text was really excited. Like, oh my God, I found my voice. I'm so excited, blah, 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 blah. And so now I followed up on it, and I waited a couple of days because I didn't want to dig. And I said, hey, You ready to talk about that? And she goes, no. So now I'm like, okay, so when do and how do you let her know? I'm still thinking about that exciting thing you shared with me without needing you to tell me how you feel.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to let Cynthia jump in. Tim said it's a great question too. Patrick made I think a joke. She has an Excel spreadsheet, Jason. She's coming back. First thing I want to delineate is there's your fear of messing up as you did in the past, meaning you forgot something in the past. And so there's that fear. Okay, that's different than how do I ask her or how do I follow up, right? So one you can totally control forgetting or not by making a note for yourself or however you're going to do it. That's your own thing. So you can alleviate that fear by actually making a note for yourself, whenever that may be. But that's one thing that you can control completely within your own self so that you don't have to try to remember everything. You don't have to try to remember everything, right? Like take that off your shoulder. That's one thing. So please jump in. So for this woman who obviously has had a lot of trauma in her past, she has avoidant tendencies, to say the least, right, Jason? And so she has a tendency to punish and push away. Mm-hmm. Okay. So with knowing what we do about Jason's, woman here, his spouse, his partner, what would you say with his question of what's the best way that he can circle back around without nagging or seeming needy? And he wants to be connected with her and he wants to honor her and her to feel like he's involved.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jason, I love hearing you speak and share your story. I really appreciate your energy very much. One thing I did want to point out is I've found my voice proclamation reminds me a little bit of I've officially stopped fucking up. I think there's a lot of gray area in a woman finding her voice and just allowing that to be like a growth energy as opposed to that she's summited the mountain. What I think about in terms of the things that she's like, oh, I'm not ready to share that, but you better come back to me about it, is actually setting aside time in the future, like in a week from now, 2 weeks from now, where it's specifically you're sitting down and saying, hey, what is it? What would you like to share with me in this moment? What would you like me to know? And I'm even attaching that, Jason, to, Jeff's and my conversation yesterday where I was, practicing sharing with him, things about sex and intimacy, which, I feel very safe with my partner. And yet I have some fears, and it's hard for me to sometimes put my deepest desires into words because in the past people may have shamed me or told me that I was wanting too much or my expectations were too high. And so having opportunities to practice talking with him in that way, number one, makes me feel safe, like the river is going to keep going. There's opportunity for me to keep growing and sharing. I'm going to keep finding my voice, and that it's not just I've achieved my voice and now there's this one opportunity to share it, and then I have anxiety of like, what if I don't share it perfectly, and what if I get afraid and don't tell him everything I want to, and then I never have that opportunity again.
Yeah, so thank you. That's perfect. Jason, I'll jump in. So it's a bit of a trap, okay? And so the trap is asking her specifically about her voice when she doesn't feel 100% confident and probably never will of how to articulate it. And so it might actually make her feel bad. And then you think you're doing something wrong, and she's just not knowing how to frame what she wants to share with you. And so the best way is to ask a less specific question, exactly what Cynthia said. What do you want to share with me, right? Or I would say, what excites you about life right now? What excites you about your own self or the world? Because then it's open to whatever she wants to say. If she wants to share with you about her voice right then, great. And you didn't try to, it almost seems like to her pressure if you're trying to pin her down to something she doesn't know how to articulate, even though that's literally what the words that she said. Okay. But it's about the experience for a woman. right? It's not about the logistics. It's not about the specifics. It's not following up on the exact thing that she said. It's honoring her experience. And she wants to know that you're interested about what she's excited about in the world and what she cares about in the world. So that's how.
I love that. I think that's topic relevant for where we are. And I love those snippets about what are you excited about and where are you going? Because she's trying to figure out, she's living on her own and she's trying to find a job, and yet she keeps coming back and keep coming back. And so the what are you excited about conversation, I think, is a perfect way to just let her go wherever she is today. So
good. Yeah. And let me even add one more ninja tip there. So if you ask her what she is excited about, and she just sits there frozen and kind of collapsing in on herself, then you ask her, it seems like maybe there's something that you're afraid of, or maybe it seems like there's something that you're sad about. And then shut up. If you can't see me, I'm putting my hand over my mouth now.
Yeah.
Because
I love it.
if she can't answer the what are you excited about, what's the other side of the coin? She's afraid or sad potentially about something, right? Or going internal about something. And that's what I asked Cynthia yesterday. Like, it seems like that you're upset about something, or it seems like something's up. What's up? Right? But with her, it maybe seems like that she's sad about something.
Yeah, she's battling a lot of that right now, and so those are. I'm excited to get to a place where I can have that conversation, because those are perfect elements for us to dive into right now. Cool. Yeah. And I'll just say for effectiveness, right? You don't need to fix anything for her. You're just there with her. And you can even literally say, I honor your experience. Right? Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, that feels really good.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Jason, thanks for coming on, bud. Love you guys for being here. Happy Friday. Help me close out the show, please, Cynthia. I'd love it. You guys are phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us on this adventure and journey out into Wyoming and Montana. And please know that you are such an important part of my life, of this tribe right here. And I can't imagine any other way that I'd want to sit next to a river right now than to get to also share in conversation and energy with you. I truly appreciate all that you do in every day and in every way. And just a shout out to say, Andy's here, Dave, Harry, thank you for being here. Iain, thank you so much for your question and input. John, Kent is here. Oh, wonderful. And Chris is here again. Patrick, Randy, so good to see you. Ruben, I really appreciate all that you've been putting in the chat. And you mentioned in a post, you said, that how Jeff really gives me his presence when I'm talking. And I have to tell you, as a woman, that's everything. I really appreciate how he does that. And when you can offer that to other people in your life, it's huge.
Thanks, Ruben. Way to give me kudos, Ruben.
Rob's here. Tim is here. Walters is here. It's so good to see all of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to mention, Kent, your cups are all around the world, man. Patrick got his cup in New Zealand. I'm not sure. Iain, have you gotten did Iain show us a picture of his cup? I think he did. Yeah, I don't know if Ian's right on right now. Yeah, no, not yet, Iain. No, thumbs down, not yet. Cups have not made it to Spain. Yeah, look, Rob's got his cup. Walters, I know, has got his cup. Yeah. Oh, you guys are so awesome. So Tim will have to get you a cup. Well, we need to get your physical address. We send you, yeah, man. We send, we're going to send the first, I forgot how many I ordered, 50 or something, 50 give or take. And so for you guys on the show, we're sending those out, and I'm happy to invest in the cost of that, sending it around the world. So cool. So cool. So thank you for doing that, Cynthia, and sending those around the world. Absolutely. Sure. This has been the C-Note Show, brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains and greatmenmovemountains.com. That audiobook, our free 45-minute audiobook, has an accompaniment with it too, a PDF of tools. If you don't have that free audiobook yet, go to greatmenmovemountains.com/free audiobook and punch in your information, and you get instant access, no strings attached, no BS, right? We have other free content on our website. Or if you want to know about our one-on-one coaching or our small group coaching, which has one more spot left, we had yet another man yesterday say he wants to be one of the 6 in our small group coaching that we're launching by the end of July. The small group is greatmenmovemountains.com/relaunch, or for our one-on-one coaching /contact to ask us. The first call is absolutely free. That whole deal. We'll talk with you about what's going on. Again, no strings attached. I don't do any kind of salesy bullshit. We're here about heart first, heart in business. And that's our business model, is to give our heart like we do here every single Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Mountain, and like all of our free stuff and our free videos that we have. So good. And our free private forum, you guys are rocking out. We've got more men every single week there. Keep posting on the forum. You guys are phenomenal, helping each other step up from the mud or step forward into the world, like Dennis Collins was talking about today. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend, guys. See you on Monday at 11.
I'ma tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves that she cares and it's lovely.